Imagine waking up with big dreams. You tell yourself, today is the day. Today I'll finally start. You open your laptop, pick up your notebook, or get ready to work on that project you've been thinking about for weeks. But then your phone buzzes. You check one notification, then another. 5 minutes become 30. 30 minutes become 2 hours. Before you know it, the day is almost over. You close everything, feeling disappointed, and whisper to yourself, I'll start tomorrow. Sound familiar? If it does, you're not alone. Millions of people go through this every single day. Most people think this is laziness. They believe they simply don't have enough motivation. But what if I told you that's not the real problem? What if laziness isn't your enemy at all? The truth is much more surprising. Your brain is actually trying to protect you. Whenever you face a difficult task, your brain sees uncertainty, effort, and possible failure. It naturally looks for something easier, something that gives an instant reward. That's why scrolling through social media feels so much easier than studying, exercising, writing, or building your dream. It's not because you're weak. It's because your brain is following the path of least resistance. Think about it. Have you ever spent an hour watching videos when you only plan to watch one? Have you ever delayed sending an important email because it felt uncomfortable? Have you ever avoided going to the gym even though you knew you'd feel better afterward? We've all done it. The problem isn't that you can't work hard. The problem is that starting feels bigger than it really is. Now here's the good news. There's a simple psychological trick that can completely change the way your brain reacts. It doesn't require endless motivation. It doesn't require waking up at 5 a.m. It doesn't require buying expensive courses or reading hundreds of books. It only requires one promise. Work for just 5 minutes. Yes, only 5 minutes. At first, that might sound too simple. You might even think, how can 5 minutes change my life? But that's exactly why it works. Your brain doesn't panic when the commitment is tiny. 5 minutes doesn't feel scary. 5 minutes doesn't feel overwhelming. 5 minutes feels possible. And when something feels possible, you're much more likely to begin. Imagine this. You have a huge report to write. Instead of telling yourself you'll work for 3 hours, tell yourself you'll write for only 5 minutes. Set a timer. Open the document. Write one sentence. That's it. Or maybe you've been avoiding exercise. Don't promise yourself a 1-hour workout. Promise yourself 5 minutes of walking. Put on your shoes and step outside. If you've been meaning to study, don't promise to finish an entire chapter. Promise yourself 5 minutes with the book open. Something amazing begins to happen. Those 5 minutes slowly become 10. 10 becomes 20. Before you realize it, you're completely focused. The hardest part wasn't doing the work. The hardest part was convincing yourself to begin. This happens because of something psychologists call momentum. Once your brain switches into action mode, continuing becomes much easier than stopping. Your mind begins to focus. Distractions lose their power. The task that once looked impossible suddenly feels manageable. Think of pushing a heavy car. The first push takes the most effort. But once the car starts moving, keeping it moving becomes much easier. Your mind works exactly the same way. Let's imagine 2 people. The first person waits every day for motivation. They say, I'll start when I feel ready. But that feeling rarely comes. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Their dreams stay exactly where they started. The second person doesn't wait. They simply set a 5-minute timer every day. Some days they stop after 5 minutes, and that's okay. Other days they continue for an hour because they no longer feel resistance. 6 months later, the difference between these 2 people is enormous. Not because one was more talented, not because one had more time, but because one mastered the art of starting. That's the secret successful people rarely talk about.
We often admire athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and creators. We see the trophies, the businesses, the millions of followers, or the finished masterpiece. But we don't see the small decisions they made every single day. We don't see the mornings when they didn't feel like working, but started anyway. Success isn't built in dramatic moments. It's built in ordinary moments that most people ignore. Imagine planting a tiny seed in the ground. On the first day, nothing changes. After a week, it still looks the same. Even after 2 weeks, there's almost nothing to see. Many people would give up because they believe nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, the roots are growing stronger every single day. Then, one morning, a small green shoot appears. Growth was happening all along. You just couldn't see it. Your habits work exactly the same way. Every 5-minute session is another root growing beneath the surface. Every tiny action strengthens your discipline. Every promise you keep to yourself builds trust. Slowly, your identity begins to change. You stop saying, "I wish I were disciplined," and start becoming someone who naturally takes action. One day, you'll notice something incredible. Starting no longer feels impossible. You sit down, begin your work, and realize you didn't need motivation after all. You simply needed a system that worked with your brain instead of against it. Remember this: motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. If your success depends on feeling motivated, your progress will always be unpredictable. Discipline, however, isn't about forcing yourself to suffer. Real discipline is making the first step so small that your brain has no reason to resist.
So here's a challenge for you. Right after this video ends, don't promise yourself you'll change your entire life today. Don't create a complicated schedule you'll forget by tomorrow. Don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until next month. Instead, think about the one task you've been avoiding. Maybe it's studying. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's starting your business, writing your first page, learning a new skill, cleaning your room, or making an important phone call. Now set a timer for 5 minutes. That's all. If you stop after 5 minutes, you've still won because you kept the promise you made to yourself. And if you continue beyond those 5 minutes, you've discovered the secret that changes everything. Your future isn't built in one heroic moment. It's built in thousands of tiny choices that nobody notices. Every successful person you admire was once standing exactly where you are today, full of doubts, fears, and excuses. The difference is that one day they decided to start. Years from now, people may call you disciplined, successful, or unstoppable. They'll think you were born different. They'll never see the countless ordinary days when you simply chose to begin for 5 minutes. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for confidence. Confidence comes after action, not before it.
Your future self is watching every decision you make today. Make a choice that your future self will thank you for. Take a deep breath. Put your phone down. Set a timer for 5 minutes. And begin. Because 5 minutes from now, you can still be making excuses. Or you can be making progress. The choice is yours.